Hi everyone, this is Stacy Reynolds, and in this video we're going to discuss how to review author guidelines. Most manuscripts have a similar flow of information, but every journal has their own way they want manuscripts formatted. To prevent delays with your manuscript moving forward in the review process, it's very important that you make sure to format your manuscript the way the journal wants you to. Let's say we've sent out our query emails in ranked potential journals, and now we have settled on the journal that we're going to submit our manuscript to. If you haven't already done so, review the author guidelines to see which article type may be best for your manuscript. In your query email, you may have asked the editor for guidance on which article type may be most appropriate, or they may have given you feedback on this. All journals have different article types and may include things like full-length original research, QI projects, departments, columns, brief reports, or practice forums. Depending on the journal, full-length articles may be anywhere from 3,000 to 7,000 words. Often these last types of articles are a little shorter, maybe 800 to 2,000 words. It just depends on the journal. Depending on your project, one of these shorter article types may work really well. Or if you're new to publishing, you may decide to start out with one of these shorter article types. Next, it is super important to thoroughly review the formatting requirements for the journal. This isn't an exhaustive list, but these are some things to be on the lookout for when you're reviewing author guidelines. For example, does the journal require a cover letter, and if so, what information do they want included in it? How do they want the title page to be formatted? Some journals want each author's name and credentials, some request a short bio of each author, or they may want you to include their ORCID IDs or some other information. Also look to see how the abstract is to be formatted. If it's a structured abstract, what should the headers be, and what's the word limit? Similarly, look to see how the manuscript should be formatted, what header or subheaders should be included, and what's the word limit. Another big thing to look at is what kind of reference formatting is required. Do they want APA or AMA or some other format? This is where using a reference manager like Zotero or EndNote becomes critically important. For example, if you submit your manuscript to a journal that requires APA formatting and it gets rejected, and the next journal on your list requires AMA formatting, with Zotero, it's just one click of a button to change your references from APA to AMA. If you don't use a reference management software, you would need to make this change manually, which can be very tedious. So from the very beginning, I highly encourage you to use a reference management software. Next, look at author guidelines to see how tables and figures should be formatted and if there's a limit to how many you can have. Also, some journals require tables and figures to be uploaded as separate documents, and others want tables and figures embedded within the manuscript document itself. And also look at just general formatting guidance, like what size font they want, the size of the margins, or if they want things to be double-spaced. Let's take a look at the author guidelines for the Journal of Trauma Nursing. So here is their home page for the journal. If you go here to this tab that says For Authors, and click here, go to Information for Authors. And here you can see that it provides an overview of the author guidelines for authors wanting to submit to this journal. So here we can see the description, mission, vision, aims, and scope, different information. Now this journal provides a lot of really detailed information. So you can see here it has an overview chart depending on what type of article you're planning on submitting and what the requirements are as far as word count, references, figures and tables, things like that, what they want their abstract headings to be. And then here's some other formatting instructions. So they want it formatted per APA. This is a size font and just general formatting requirements, as well as detailed descriptions of how they want the manuscript prepared. Now let's take a look at the author guidelines for the Journal of Perioperative Practice. So you can see this website looks a little bit different. If you come over here, you can see that there's a button for Submission Guidelines. You can come down here and have different information about preparing your manuscript for submission. So let's click on this little arrow. Here you can see information about different article types that this journal accepts, as well as information about the word limit and description of how they want the tables and figures to be formatted. So you can see here, these are the different article types. If they want reporting guidelines to be used, and how they want each piece of the manuscript to be formatted, such as the title, abstract, keywords. So it's very detailed about exactly what they want. So again, it's very, very important to search each journal's author guidelines to see how they want their manuscripts formatted. So as you can see from those two examples, author guidelines can vary between journals. Let's say, for example, you format your manuscript per author guidelines for the Journal of Trauma Nursing, you submit it, and it gets rejected. So you move down your list and plan on submitting it to the Journal of Perioperative Nursing. Before you submit to the next journal, you must revise the manuscript per the new journal's author guidelines. You can't simply upload your submission from one journal to another journal. This would likely result in the journal sending the manuscript back to you to make these edits, so it can delay your manuscript moving forward through the process. So make sure you're reviewing the author guidelines for each journal that you submit to. The main takeaway from this video is simply to review author guidelines carefully. This will again prevent delays with your manuscript on the editorial side. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you for the next video.